about. Pero mírame ahora, shining anyway. God help me when I felt alone, and now my heart beats louder, brighter, ready to claim everything He promised. No more hiding who I am, no more dimming this glow. He turned my scars into stories, and my stories into fuego. I'm crowned by faith, look at me shining bright. He healed my corazón and helped me win this long fight. I rise con faith, with joy in my veins, dancing out the darkness like it never had my name. Crowned by faith, that's who I am. Crowned by faith, this is my comeback dance.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Lyrics. I am Elena Rodriguez, and if you are new to Crowned by Faith or Behind the Lyrics, we are talking about a book that has a soundtrack that goes with it. All right, so if you are there, say hello. I want to make sure that people can hear me because I know in the past I have failed to have my sound on and never quite realized. But we are on chapter 12, if you can believe it. That means we have been doing this for 12 weeks now. And I have to be really honest, it's not any easier. It still is a difficult subject matter. This is a divine assignment. So if you have not gotten your book, Crowned by Faith, Building the Life God Promised, One Prayer at a Time, you can do that at crownedbyfaithcollective.com. It's a hardback. And on the inside, there's a QR code that goes directly to the song that was created for that chapter. Now, why do we have Crowned by Faith? Because God put me on an assignment. I like to say a divine assignment to help you look at some of your own life experiences through the lens of God's love, through the lens of His love. And hey, Tish, and it just so happens that in the book, we are covering many of my experiences, many of the things that I have been through that could have broken me, that made me feel like Rocky in the ring, just getting beat down upon beat down. And He allowed me to heal through those because I was able to actually see what did it look like through God's eyes. Not mine while I was experiencing it, not mine while I was feeling that excruciating pain, but what did it look like through God's eyes? What's the crowned truth behind the lies that I fed myself because of the experience? What's the message that He needs you to hear? And so this has just been an amazing project that I was set out on to create. And the book was released the end of October. The soundtrack was released in October as well. And yeah, you can find that on Spotify, Apple iTunes, like all over where you can stream music. But we're actually covering the songs here and diving into the topic and the content. So tonight, our chapter is called Ashes to Authority. And the song is I Rise Again. And this is finally the moment that the light starts peeking through, that you can, that I can feel after the one last final beat down. God starts showing me my way. So one of the things that I want to share is that last week we covered the chapter that was called like Move the Boulder, Peanut, Move the Boulder, Peanut. And I was getting ready to finally leave this emotionally abusive relationship. I felt like I had the strength to get there. Then we covered Broken Stronger, which was, another song that kind of helped me get there. The one thing that I didn't jump into is the very next chapter is the one that was called Christmas Eve. That is the chapter that fully covers when my husband passed away on Christmas Eve. Okay. That we actually covered the night before Christmas Eve. So you can go back and you can go to our YouTube channel and you can watch it. But now we're ready to jump to Ashes to Authority, and the song is called I Rise Again. So I want to, oh, we got Gina on here too. Good to see you. I think my mom is probably here too. But we're going to cover a pretty heavy, yucky subject matter for quite a while. And then we're going to actually cover what God did through that. This chapter covers my final breaking moment. My moment where I just was like, F it all. I'm done. And that's the moment that the surrender happened and God was able to step in. So hang tight as we cover this one. It's a little, just like they all have been, a little difficult. All right. So by 6 a.m. on Christmas Eve, I was finally home. Let me try to read over here. The house felt colder than I remembered, or the house felt colder than I remembered, but not just in temperature, but in spirit. The kind of chill that seeps past your skin, but settles deep within. The tree's white lights still glowed in the corner, throwing that soft halo glow against the framed window. And our 3 dogs, I called them our misfits because they didn't match. We had a lab, a beagliere, and a tiny Pomeranian. So I called them our misfits. Our little misfits stood in the doorway, tails wagging, eyes fixed on me. They didn't bark or move. They just stared, almost confused, like they knew something was wrong, but didn't know how to fix it. Remind you, I had been at the ICU for 25 days. I hadn't even been home that much. So now they're looking at me like, what's up? Something's different. There was no food in the fridge, no Christmas cookies on the counter, no coffee brewing, just the faint smell of hospital antiseptic clinging to my clothes, fighting with the scent of his sweatshirt, detergent, and a trace of paint thinner. I still pulled it around me, but I dropped my bag by the door, took a deep breath, and stepped in, too tired to cry and too tired to sleep. So this is Christmas Eve morning, and he had finally passed away, I think around 3 a.m., just a little after 3 a.m. So it's about 6 a.m. when I'm finally home. It's Christmas Eve and just exhausted. The phone started ringing almost immediately on Christmas Eve. Donor agencies, funeral homes, numbers I didn't recognize. The ringtone buzzed and slid across the counter while I answered each call like a receptionist in my own life. Calm voice, shaking hands, while my coffee went cold. Then I got it reheated and it'd go cold again. By noon, my legal pad had 3 columns and a million scribbles, and it was just chaotic, right? So before we dive into, I'm going to kind of fast forward. I'm going to put things in a nutshell. I don't read the whole chapter to you, but I need to preface a point that grief is complicated when it follows years of emotional abuse. And it's really hard to describe the emotional roller coaster because it's grief. It's grief like any other. Your heart is breaking. You were married to this person. You loved this person, but your life was hell together. You fought. You went into this place of fight or flight all the time. So there's a sense of freedom, but then with that freedom comes guilt, and it's just a very hard place to be. And I was already there. I was already feeling that because for 25 days we had been in the ICU. So we're going to get into a topic that is going to get very heavy. And I'm comfortable with it. I'm not ashamed to talk about it. I think it's important that it be talked about. But I want to kind of paint that picture that it's a very complex space when someone that you love, that has been your toxic partner, that the emotional abuse has kept you more afraid, when they die, you miss them and you mourn them, and it aches and it hurts, just like anyone else that you would lose that you love. But there's even an emotional attachment that comes from breaking from the abuser. And I know that you may have heard that in the past, that sometimes when people are with an abuser for so long, they almost become emotionally attached to that. You become more comfortable with the pattern. So it's hard to break away. And yet, when it's broken from you, it spirals a whole nother level of dependency, of emotions that you aren't prepared for. So it's a very complex place to be. I love that we can open up the conversation on this because I think it's something that is not talked about enough. And I just kind of want to paint that picture as we get into our first round of lyrics. And the song is called I Rise Again. So I love that we're coming up on the upswing. The good things are coming, but we have to take one more dip down very low before we can get there. So here we go.
Came home to silence, echoes in the hall. Walls once full of laughter now feel so small. An empty chair, shadows in the light. He's gone, but the fear still whispers at night.
Okay, so those lyrics, came home to silence, echoes in the hall, walls once full of laughter now feel so small, an empty chair, shadows in the light, he's gone, but the fear still whispers at night. That's where I'm trying to say that I was met with this place that I was having to make decisions. But I have to say this out loud, and it might sound crazy, but if it lands on somebody that's going through this right now, it needs to be said. I still made decisions out of fear of what he would think. There were certain things that I should have done, I could have done, but I didn't because I literally was still afraid of the repercussions. I was afraid he would strike me down from wherever he was. It's the weirdest thing to say out loud, but it's the truth. There are so many things that looking back now, I could have done differently. I should have done differently. I had every right to do them differently, but I was afraid. I was afraid of what he was going to think. And when you're so used to that fight, you're ready for it because your mind hasn't even grasped that they're not here to fight with you anymore. It's a crazy place to be. Tish says, makes so much sense. Thank you. Fear in the mind will do it every time. Yes. So I just need to paint that picture that I'm grieving. My heart is breaking. I'm sad. I'm starting to face things. I'm afraid. So it doesn't just leave. It lingers. Okay. So here we go. Grief's complicated when it follows years of emotional abuse. I loved my husband. The ache was physical. We lived in a rhythm I'd grown used to. Fight, fracture, reconcile, laugh. I talked about that the last time. The passionate making up. the sex is like amazing because you hated each other for so long, and now you're getting a little bit of love, and you're like that sponge that's just trying to absorb it, so it seems so amazing. It's a cycle. We'd lived in that rhythm. As toxic as it was familiar. When he was gone, I missed him fiercely. At the same time, a strange wash of freedom rolled over me, and I didn't know what to do with it. I kept waiting for the explosion anyway, waiting to be wrong, waiting to be the problem, hearing his voice echo from the corners of an empty room. It was crazy. I felt like I was going nuts in my head because I hadn't even talked about how toxic the relationship was. How could I say any of this out loud? How would anybody even know how to respond or even how to help me? After he died, the paperwork brought its own kind of grief. Every page I signed peeled back another lien, another debt I didn't know about, loans taken out against our house, his name on everything, mine on nothing. The betrayal stacked higher than the bills. So I found myself in this place of discovery of total ruin. A house that had been bought cash for in a foreclosure that shouldn't have had anything against it had his name on it. He had taken out loans and all of the stuff. So banks wouldn't even talk to me. It was a crazy thing. So I just need to paint that part of it, that almost immediately this discovery starts unfolding. This debt, these lies. We had been living this facade. This home was big. He'd come home with new vehicles all the time. And because it was toxic, because we didn't really make these decisions together, he did his thing and I just did my thing, and it was all good. But I had no idea all of this was leaning against our home. And my name was not anywhere to be found. Nobody would talk to me about anything, no matter if we were married or not. It was in his name. So that was like pretty crazy. So I'm going to share one more clip here.
Betrayal where love should have been. Memories like ghosts on my skin.
So just that little piece. Betrayal where love should have been. Memories like ghosts on my skin. As all of these things were surfacing and all of these lies were coming to the forefront, it was almost like I was able to start seeing what was in front of my face all along. But because it was clouded in fights and anger and silent treatments and all of the ugliness that comes with it, you kind of grow numb and you kind of just start floating through your life. So you stop looking at things. You kind of stop feeling anything. And so all of this stuff was surfacing. She says, wow, this is beautiful. I am going through a break and no choice of reconciliation. Addie, like, I am praying for you. Okay. I am praying for you. So as we jump forward, I need to get into this part of it, because this is the breaking moment. This is the moment that I'm like, God, WTF, I am just done. Like, I had to look for the blessing. I had to fight to see something good has to come out of this. I don't know what it is. I don't know how. This sucks. This hurts. But God, I trust you, and I know it has to be there. Okay. So 9 months later, okay, so we're talking, I got no money, there's debt, there's things that with not my name not even on it, property I'm losing, like everything is falling apart. I had left my job to start my business, 8 weeks before his heart attack. So I didn't even have a job, and he was his job. And so money was just bleeding out of his business. I mean, it was just horrible. Everything crumbled in a moment. But 9 months goes by. I needed a contractor's number. This is in the book. And remembered it might be in his old phone. I pulled it from a drawer. The phone was cold. It was heavy. It was like a stone in my hand until the charger brought it back to life. It had sat for months. I never knew his passcode, but I took a guess and it opened. Easy. Thank goodness for that. The screen lit up and there it was. Text threads, photos, names, proof waiting. Her name sat near the top, quiet as a bomb, and I tapped it. So here's what happens. 5 years. 5 years of texts, photos, I love you messages, messages about our wedding gifts, jokes about being a stepdad, plans, the soft chime as more messages loaded, steady and cruel, like a heartbeat. I sat on the bedroom floor, the phone still plugged in beside me, screen glowing in the half dark. I was near the bathroom, and I couldn't tell if I wanted to throw up or cry. And so I just sat there, sweating, scrolling, reading every word. I even read them twice, thinking maybe I just made it all up. So money's gone, property's gone, husband's gone, and now this. My worth felt ripped out, charred bits of a story that no longer made sense. So after all of that, the part that hurt the most was my self-esteem, my self-worth, my self-confidence taken from the grave. How could I have been so stupid? I was angry at myself. Such a complex of emotions in that moment that, yes, I didn't know whether I wanted to throw up, laugh, cry, punch my mirror. Like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I had to go through it a couple times just to make sure I wasn't really losing my mind and like reading more into it that I then needed to be. I thought maybe I'm just making this shit up. So no, let's go ahead and go through it again and let it hurt you all over again. So I want you to just envision that that's where I was for a moment. That was my breaking point. And so we'll go into another part of the song.
I rise stronger than the storm. With every tear I cry, I'm being reborn in the heart of darkness. I found my way. God met me in the ashes, brought light to my day. I stand in authority, no longer afraid, a crown in faith, all my burdens laid.
Okay. So right there in that moment, and still in the middle of that wreckage, I thought of God. You let me see this for a reason. Like after I went through sweating, crying, wanting to throw up, anger, like I'm sitting on my bedroom floor. Thanks, Addie. I'm sitting on my bedroom floor, literally like on the floor, and going through this roller coaster of emotion. And then I thought of God. And I thought, you let me see this for a reason. There's a reason I had to charge this phone. There's a reason I had to pick this up and see it. Why now? And so as I was thinking of God and asking him, I know that you are making sure that I see this for a reason. There has to be a gift in this. I actually prayed for the woman. I prayed for that other woman. I knew who she was. She had been in my home 2 days prior. I knew of her, but I was shocked. I didn't think something had been going on for 5 years, but I prayed for her. And that's the lesson, that if you're going through something that is breaking your heart, if you are going through that anger and you're mad at somebody for treating you badly or cheating on you or lying to you or, making you feel a certain way, the forgiveness has to come. The forgiveness has to come, or it's going to eat you up inside. It's going to be like you swallowed this toxic bomb, and it's going to blow up inside of you, and it's going to rot you from the inside out. You have to forgive it. Now, the one thing God told me, and the one thing that helped me is, and this isn't part of the book, this is just the message, that right or wrong is simply a label that is placed on something that you either agree or disagree with. If you agree with something, it's right. If you disagree with something, it's wrong. And each of us can look at anything differently. And what's right for you might be wrong for me. And what's wrong to me might be right to you. But the reality is, to find peace in your life, peace comes from the acceptance of all things and simply choosing what serves you best. And that might be hard to swallow, but if something happened, peace is only going to come by accepting that it did happen. And you decide what to do with it from there. And forgiveness, if you still hold on to a belief that something shouldn't have happened, that should have never happened. They should have never done that. You haven't forgiven. Because the truth of the matter is, you're looking at something from the past, and that means that it did happen. Whether it should have or shouldn't have, it did. So to get to that level of peace, it's the acceptance that this did happen. And yeah, it may have hurt. And yeah, it may have sucked, but it did happen. So now it's up to you to decide what serves you best forward. Holding on to the anger, searching for those answers that may never come, or truly forgiving and like saying, God, this is hard for me, but I need you to take this for me and help me see it through. And all that came in that moment to me. I had a choice to make at that time. So at first I told no one. He was dead. What good would it do? But secrets rot. One night, my son asked something simple, and I snapped. And I said, no one loves me anyway. And those words just hung there. My hurt was now causing him hurt. That was the moment I knew I had to speak. I wasn't going to be controlled from the grave. The truth had to come into the light. So I have dealt with many people that have struggled with the fact that I said this out loud. And I want to share something. If I was doing this to spread hate or to spread dirty gossip or to cause chaos and drama, I would have dropped her name out there. I would have made a big ugly scene about it. I would have taken the string of text messages and the photos and everything and blast them out there. Not once have I ever mentioned her name to anyone out here. There are a handful of people that know because they were with me. But I share this message because somebody is holding in their own secret. Somebody is holding in their own pain. Somebody has taken the actions of somebody else and is living in the shame that they didn't cause. And it's blocking your blessings. It's causing you to stay in anger. It's causing you a heaviness. It's causing you to repeat and ruminate on these coulda, woulda, shouldas, and what if, and have all these scenarios going on in your head. I know that because that could have been me also. But God said no. He said, stop wasting your precious time asking questions that you know you will never receive answers to. He knew. I was asking myself, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? Was it something I did? Did I not love him enough? Did I not cook enough? Did I not clean enough? Should I have done this? Like all these things, these questions. And God said, stop already. He said, I'm gifting you precious life. You're still breathing. I woke you up today. You have life to live. Stop wasting this precious time that is a gift, that is a blessing. Stop wasting it on all those questions because you're never going to get an answer. So how many of us do that? How many of us play these things over and over and over in our head? How many of us, focus on things that we know we can't change? We know we're never going to find out. We know there's no positive outcome. So God said, use that energy. Focus forward. Take this blessing I'm giving you and do something forward with it. That's why we're here. But I ain't going to lie. It was a horrible time of my life. I wanted to die. I didn't care if I woke up. I wanted to just quit. I wanted to be done. I hated myself. I felt stupid. I felt ugly. I felt like ridiculous. I felt like a joke. I felt like all these ugly things. I felt that. And the thing is when you start doing this work to love yourself again, people will tell you, do this mirror exercise. Look in the mirror and tell yourself all these great things. That's a very powerful exercise, but not if you hate what you're looking at in the mirror. Not if you can't even spend 5 seconds staring at yourself without saying ugly shit to the person looking back. That's a very hard exercise. It's a very difficult place to start. So I'll share with you what I did instead that got me there. But we'll move into the next clip here real quick. Gina says, amen. All right, here we go.
The windows hold secrets, whispers of despair, every corner haunted by the dreams we used to share. But secrets rot the soul, so I let them go. With every breath I take, I'm reclaiming what I know.
Yes. So you could tell these lyrics are, I had to sit through this whole transition phase that all happened in this one chapter for me. And, when it says, the secrets rot the soul. So I had to let them go. When I came out here and said out loud for the first time, no, my husband had an affair, and the backlash that was coming in the live, he would never do that. How dare you say that? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, listen to yourself. Why would I come out here and just say this? What am I gaining? I had to not hold these secrets in. And it cracked me up when people are like, he would never do that. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking like, yeah, he would. But I never had to justify it. I never had to say, let me show you my proof. It didn't even warrant a response. I just let it go. But I'm here today to talk about this because some people are still living their own secrets. They're still living in this shame. They're still carrying this guilt that was never theirs to carry. So whether you agree with me or not, for using my experience as a voice to reach others, then all I can say is don't watch, don't listen, click off, move on, because I'm not going to be silenced about it. This is part of my life. This is part of why I do the work that I do. God allowed me to discover this so that I could let it all go. All of it, the toxicity, the emotional abuse, the trauma. There's like a toxic residue, kind of like a Gorilla Glue or grease. Like you just can't ever fully get it off. You don't ever feel like it's fully gone. That's what toxicity and the trauma and the CPTSD and all the labels that you want to have. That's what it is. Triggers will haunt you and they will follow you the rest of your life. You won't even know where they're going to come or what's going to make it happen. But the anxiety is real. When those triggers hit, you're sweating, you feel sick to your stomach, you might start, your heart goes a little bit faster, you get this nervousness and anxiety. It's horrible. And even though you can learn to cope with it, it doesn't mean that you don't still experience it. So I share these things to say that it's real. And if you're going through it, it's okay. But you're not alone. And you're not crazy. And it's not your fault. And you didn't make this up. And it's not all in your head. All of those thoughts come from years of gaslighting. And you start questioning your own reality because everything comes back at you like you're seeing this like so weird and what is wrong with you, that after a while you start believing it, and then you start questioning your own thought processes, so you don't even trust yourself to make decisions for yourself. That's how you stay more dependent. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. So Gina says truth. All right, so where are we at? Okay, so I said everything that I needed to say. I ended up saying this out loud. I was in a business conference. I had gone to California. I had to focus on my business and figure out what I was doing. And while I was there, I knew I had to say it out loud. And that's where I ended up going live. I said what I needed to say. The thing that happened here, that's why God's timing, impeccable. Like I knew God was blessing every step forward from there in my life. Shortly after I discovered this, I then get the call. His headstone was finally finished and it was placed. So 9 months it took. And now I've discovered the affair. And like, no shit, like a day or two later, I get the call. Your husband's headstone's, been placed and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you freaking kidding me right now? So I did what I did. I went, and this is a couple chapters in here. And I said what I needed to say. I had my moment. And I had to go through every single roller coaster of emotion since I now knew about this. And I had to say what I needed to say. But I also said, I will never be back. And I had to let that part of my life go. You don't forget, and it's not like you can erase it, but you have to make a choice. Do I keep repeating and going back into this pain? Do I keep going back into this cycle? Or do I seriously say, God, this is my surrender moment. I've got to move forward. Take it from here because I don't know how I'm going to do it. That's what I had to do. I had to say what I needed to say. And I had to also say, I will never be back. And that hurts. It hurts. But I knew I needed to make a decision that was going to what? Bring me peace. And how do I do that? I had to choose what was going to serve me best. So in your life, you may be faced with a decision that is very, very hard. But keep in mind, to reach that place of peace within yourself, you have to accept all the things because they did happen. And then simply choose what serves you best. Not defending it, not justifying it, not trying to convince anyone, just what serves you best. And do that. People will agree or they're not. They'll support you or they won't. They'll love you or they'll hate you. Whatever it be, that's cool. Let them. But to get to that place of peace in your life, you have to accept all the things, all of it, the ugly stuff too. And then say, what is going to serve me best? And then do that. Then do that. All right, we're going to listen to one more clip here.
A smile was a mask, a facade worn thin. These walls speak the truth. Where I thought love had been, grief feels like freedom, a paradox I see. Rising from the ashes, I'm learning to be me.
Yes. So yeah, the grief now feels like freedom. So yeah, it was a crazy place to be. But here's what happened. Okay. So after leaving the gravesite and knowing all of this stuff and still having all this crazy thinking in my head, and remember, just even at home, life with my sons, it was just difficult. I hated myself. I was angry with myself. I wanted to just ask myself all the time, like, how in the F did I get here? How could I be so stupid? I mean, just all of this. It was just ugly, ugly, ugly time in my life. And so that night, I found myself in the bedroom, staring out the same French doors the paramedics had carried him through. I could still see it in my mind, and the red digits on the clock blinked like 2:13 a.m. when my knees found the carpet, meaning this is my surrender moment. I got nothing. I'm in my bedroom by myself. My sons are probably upstairs, asleep or awake or whatever they're doing, but I'm literally in my own space, like having my meltdown. My chest felt tight. My throat was just raw from holding too much in. I looked into that darkness and I said out loud that evil could now leave, that it was no longer welcome here. I refused to take any more, and I knew it no longer had power over me. God was here, even in the silence, even in the breaking, God was here. I cried out to my Jesus. My heart was splitting open, but deep down, I knew the truth. He was with me. And that's when his voice came. The same clear, loving tone that had found me before. The one in the bathroom with my toothpaste. Remember that one? That's when he said, remember who you are. Remember whose you are. Boldly step forward. Show your crown. I did not make that up. God gave that to me. in that breakdown moment, my shoulders finally let go of a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying for years. The room didn't change, but somehow I did. I stood taller in it. I began cutting ties without apology. Some called me cold. I called it self-love. So that was my breaking moment. My heart was ripping open. My self-hatred was at full blast. Just every kind of negative emotion. And I just remember saying out loud, I think I had watched The War Room, like not too much before that. So I knew I was going to come out here and I was going to say it out loud. And evil, you are not welcome here. You have no hold over me. There's no more control. Like you can't do this to me. And when I was using the word evil, I think I included him in that. I was so afraid. And that's evil. That fear, that's evil. And I had to face it. I had to admit it. I had to recognize it. I had to say it out loud. And then I had to plead to my God, take it from me, please. Protect me. Be here with me. But it took that moment of just dropping to my knees. And literally, if anybody would have seen me, they would have probably thought I was nuts because I was saying out loud that evil, you are not welcome here. Leave. Be gone. It just felt yucky. And that surrender moment, that's also why we have Surrender to Rise, the book series and events today. Because had I not reached my own surrender moment, I couldn't rise again. And that's the name of the song. So let's listen to one more part.
Falling to my knees in these ruins of pain, crying out to God, I'm calling his name. Help me in this darkness, hold me in your light, restore my broken spirit, I am here to fight. In the silence of surrender, he meets me with grace. Now I'm standing on this promise. The skies begin to fade, and I rise.
Yeah, she's belting it out. I know she's screaming at you because that's the heart of the moment. But that's where I was. That's where I was. Falling to my knees in the ruins of pain, crying out to God. I'm calling his name. Help me in this darkness. Hold me in your light. Restore my broken spirit. I am here to fight. Like I can't express it any clearer than that. That is where I was. Everything all at once. Just done, man. Just done. And you know, it's amazing because I started telling the truth about the affair, not with whispers of shame, but with the authority that comes from surviving. It was never mine to carry. It was part of my testimony now. So that's why for me, it's easy. You got a problem with it, move along. You got a problem with it, probably look in the mirror because something in you is probably struggling with something. I don't have any shame. God cleared me of all of that. This is my testimony now. God didn't reveal the truth to crush me. He let me uncover it so I could let go and be free. So I could lean into the strength he'd planted in me. So I could show other women they can lay down what isn't theirs and step into who they really are. I am living proof. With God, you can survive anything. Ashes can turn to crowns. Broken can become authority. That is why this chapter is called Ashes to Authority. All right. So We're going to listen to one more clip, and then we're going to get through the lens of God's love and into the crown truth. So here we go.
Sun breaks through the window, warming up my soul. No more chains of silence, no more feeling cold. He's gone, but I'm rising, breaking every chain. In the scars of betrayal, I find life again.
So yes, so betrayal does leave its scars, but it's amazing at how God can make them beautiful, right? So through the lens of God's love, and that's in every single chapter, through the lens of God's love. So when you read my little piece of story, there's also some other sections that ask you questions of your own story, like your own experience, maybe a time in your life that you have felt something. I actually bring those questions out, and then we're actually able to look through things through the lens of God's love, because that's the whole point of this whole project. I no longer see only betrayal, heartbreak, and loss upon loss. I see a Christmas angel. Oh, because I didn't get into this part, but somebody brought us a Christmas meal because we had like no food and it was Christmas Eve. And so she was my Christmas angel. That's in the chapter. So I see a Christmas angel at my door with the meal, and a God who sends provision when the fridge is empty and the heart is hollow. I see ashes being exchanged for beauty, shame for strength, mourning for ministry, as in mourning the loss, not good morning, but mourning for ministry. I see authority rising from the rubble. Through the lens of God's love, I now understand that what was meant to destroy me became the very soil God used to root my authority. Exposure wasn't punishment. It was permission to heal. Pain was not my ending. It was my equipping. If you are standing in ashes today, know this: you are not finished. God's love is still writing your story, and your authority will rise from the very things that tried to break you. Through the lens of God's love, your story isn't just about what was taken from you, but about what God entrusted to you in the rebuilding. That's huge. The betrayal you didn't choose, the loss you didn't deserve, these are the places where resilience takes root and God whispers, "Daughter, you are still mine. Rise and wear the crown I've placed on your head." God wants you to remember who you are. God doesn't want you replaying those coulda, woulda, shouldas, those mistakes, the I should have known better. How could I have been so silly? How did I get here again? Enough with that. He wants you to remember who you are and know that you are still his. And all of these things that you're going through, all of these experiences that maybe you have discovered, things that, could come here to break you, use them. Use them. Find the gift in the discovery. Because if the discovery is there, it's because God's got something in store for you. Use them. That's the message. So a crowned truth here. Betrayal does not erase your worth. It reveals where your worth truly comes from. The truth may break you for a moment, but it will also crown you with the authority to stand tall in God's love and live unashamed. God sees what's happening. God sees it all. Don't beat yourself up. He knows. When everything is stripped away, God restores what was lost with greater strength, clarity, and purpose than before. Ashes are not the end. They are the soil where new identity is born and authority takes root. So just remember that. If you feel that you are like walking through your fire right now and you feel like everything is crumbling and the ashes are like there to just, be blown away in one breath, no. He's refining you and he's getting rid of all the stuff that does not serve you well. And it's not easy and it's painful. But when you can stand in that place and know that this is happening for a reason and there's something good that will come out of this. I don't see it right now. I don't know what it is. I don't understand it. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how I'm going to get there. Like, you don't know nothing, but you can trust that you believe there's purpose in it right now. It's amazing at what God will be able to do for you. So we're going to listen to one more clip and then we'll do our prayer and close out for the evening.
Standing tall, filled with hope and grace. In the shadow of my trials, I found my place. No shame can hold me. I've broken free, crowned in faith. I'm finally me.
Oh, I love that. Crowned in faith, I'm finally me. So before we go into our closing prayer, I told you that and I just remembered that I would share what I actually had to do to start loving myself again, because I couldn't do those mirror exercises. I couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't look at myself in the eyes long enough without being disgusted, and then I would cry, and then it just was ugly. I had nothing to say to her, that the person in the mirror. I hated her. I couldn't believe she could be so stupid to get here. Like, literally, that is how I felt when I looked in the mirror. Like, how in the hell could you do this to yourself? So what I did is I started taking selfies, and I would zoom in. I would take a picture of myself, whether I was angry, crying, sad, happy, like whatever. And I would zoom in and I would really look at her eyes in the photo, in the picture. I would look at her eyes and I would talk to her. I could talk to her more than I could in the mirror. And I started looking for the beauty, and I started looking for, for even the innocence. And sometimes I saw that little 8-year-old little girl, and sometimes I saw the pain, but I would zoom in and I would look in her eyes and I would talk to her, and I would tell her all the good stuff, all the things that God was sharing with me, I could share with her. And I did that on a daily, every single day, in the middle of drinking too, because I numbed myself with alcohol too. Like, every single day, something was going on in my life. It was chaotic and it was painful, but I stayed true to the work. I had to love myself again. And what God said, remember who you are and remember whose you are, and boldly step forward, show your crown. I had to figure out, what's my crown? What do you mean? This is all so crazy to me. And he did. He revealed it all. That's why we're here. Your crown is the pain. It is the experiences. It is the WTF moments. It is the screw ups. It is the, the shames, the guilts, like all the mistakes. It's the wins. It's the successes. Like, it's all of it. All of that is your crown. He gave that to you. He loves you. And I just had to zoom in and talk to her. I had to look for her beauty. I had to see her beauty. And the more that I did that, and the longer that I did that, I could then start spending a little bit more time actually talking to the same eyes in the mirror. But I couldn't right away. I couldn't. I hated who was looking back. And at least in a photo, it didn't feel so real. So that might sound crazy to you, but that's what worked for me. And that's what I had to do. And now I take photos all the time. I take selfies all the time because I love myself today. I'm beautiful. And I've earned it. Well, I shouldn't even say I earned it. God doesn't work in an earn and receive. He's a believe and receive. So you don't have to earn, deserve and earn. You believe and receive. And I do today. So now I'm always taking pictures because I love myself today. Good, bad, ugly, all the things, all the mistakes, all the ups and downs. And maybe you're struggling with that part yourself. Start taking pictures of yourself and zoom in, look at your eyes and talk to that person until you can actually do it in the mirror. All right. So here's our prayer. And then we'll end out with the song tonight. And I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in this whole journey. We're not done yet. We still have a couple more chapters to go, but this has been an amazing experience. And I just want to thank you for the support as each of you have gotten your book. All right. Dear God, here's our prayer. Here's our prayer. You see every wound, every betrayal, every silent tear that no one else knows about. You see the weight of shame and the ache of loss that tries to bury us in ashes, and you never leave us there. Thank you for being the God who meets us in the rubble and reminds us that we are still your sons and daughters, still crowned, still chosen. Thank you for lifting burdens that were never ours to carry and for replacing shame with authority. I pray over every heart reading this right now. Where there is heaviness, bring freedom. Where there is fear, bring courage. May they know deep in their spirit that they are not defined by betrayal, but by your love and calling on their life. Teach us to walk boldly in the authority you have given us, not with bitterness, but with grace, not with fear, but with faith. And may our lives testify that nothing is wasted in your hands. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight, and I will see you next time. Oh, did we lock up again?
Now I'm standing tall. Now I'm standing tall. Filled with hope. Came home to silence. Echoes in the hall. Walls once full of laughter now feel so small. An empty chair, shadows in the light. He's gone, but the fear still whispers at night. Betrayal where love should have been. Memories like ghosts on my skin. But I rise stronger than the storm. With every tear I cry, I'm being reborn in the heart of darkness. I found my way. God met me in the ashes, brought light to my day. I stand in authority, no longer afraid, crowned in faith. All my burdens laid. The windows hold secrets, whispers of despair. Every corner haunted by the dreams we used to share. But a facade worn thin. These walls speak the truth where I thought love had been. Grief feels like freedom, a paradox I see. Rising from the ashes, I'm learning to be me. Falling to my knees in these ruins of pain, crying out to God, I'm calling His name. Help me in this darkness, hold me in your light. Restore my broken spirit, I am here to fight. In the silence of surrender, He meets me with grace. Now I'm standing on this promise, the scars begin to fade, and I rise stronger than the storm. With every tear I cry, I'm being reborn. In the heart of darkness, I find my way. God met me in the ashes, brought light to my day. I stand in authority, no longer afraid, and crowned in faith. All my burdens laid. The sun breaks through the window, warming up my soul. No more chains of silence, no more feeling cold. He's gone, but I'm rising, breaking every chain. In the scars of betrayal, I find life again. So I rise stronger than the storm. With every tear I cry, I'm being reborn. In the heart of darkness, I find my way. God met me in the ashes, brought light to my day. I stand in authority, no longer afraid, and crowned in faith. All my burdens laid. Now I'm standing tall, filled with hope and grace. In the shadow of my trials, I found my place. No shame can hold me, I've broken free, crowned in faith.